Rushing into emotional attachment is something that happens to many people in relationships, but it is often talked about in connection with women because many women are raised to value emotional connection, love, and commitment very strongly. Emotional attachment means developing deep feelings for someone, caring about them, thinking about them often, and feeling connected to them in a meaningful way. These feelings are beautiful and natural, but when they develop too quickly, before truly understanding the other person, it can sometimes lead to confusion, disappointment, or emotional pain. Taking time in the early stages of a relationship allows both people to understand each other better and make wiser emotional decisions. When two people first meet, there is often excitement. Everything feels new and interesting. The conversations can feel special, the attention feels good, and the possibility of a relationship can create strong emotions. This stage is often called the honeymoon phase or the early attraction stage. During this time, it is easy for someone to imagine a future with the other person, even if they have only known each other for a short time. The mind sometimes fills in the missing details and creates an ideal picture of the other person. Because of this, emotional attachment can grow faster than the actual understanding of who the person really is. One reason rushing into emotional attachment can be risky is that feelings develop before clear knowledge. When someone likes another person, they may focus only on the positive things they see. They may ignore warning signs or behaviors that show the other person may not want the same kind of relationship. For example, if a man is inconsistent in communication, avoids serious conversations, or shows little effort, these behaviors may be overlooked if strong emotions have already formed. The person who has developed strong feelings may continue to hope that things will change, even when the evidence shows otherwise. Another important point is that intentions in relationships can be different for each person. Some people may want a serious and long-term relationship, while others may only want something casual or temporary. If a woman becomes emotionally attached before understanding what the man truly wants, she may expect commitment and deeper connection, while the man may not be thinking about the relationship in the same way. When expectations are different, disappointment often happens. This is not always because someone intended to hurt the other person. Sometimes it simply happens because both people wanted different things from the beginning. Time plays a very important role in understanding another person. Real personality, habits, and values become clearer over time. In the early days of meeting someone, people usually show their best behavior. They try to make a good impression, and they may hide their flaws or weaknesses. As weeks and months pass, their natural behavior becomes more visible. By taking time before forming deep emotional attachment, someone can observe how the other person behaves in different situations. They can see how the person treats others, how they handle stress, how they communicate during disagreements, and how consistent they are with their words and actions. Consistency is one of the most important signs of a person's true intentions. Someone who genuinely cares and is interested in building a meaningful relationship will usually show consistent effort. They will communicate regularly, make time to meet, show respect, and follow through on what they say. On the other hand, someone who is not serious may show attention sometimes, but disappear at other times. They may give mixed signals, which can create confusion. If emotional attachment develops too quickly, these inconsistencies may be ignored because strong feelings can make it harder to think clearly. Another factor that contributes to rushing into emotional attachment is loneliness, or the strong desire to be loved. Humans naturally want companionship and emotional support. When someone has been single for a long time or has experienced emotional emptiness, meeting someone who gives attention can feel very powerful. The attention may create a sense of comfort and excitement that leads to quick emotional bonding. However, attention alone does not always mean genuine commitment or long-term interest. Learning to separate temporary attention from real emotional investment is important for protecting one's feelings. Social influences can also play a role in how quickly someone becomes emotionally attached. Movies, stories, and social media often show romantic relationships developing quickly and dramatically. They sometimes create the idea that intense feelings early on are a sign of true love. In reality, healthy relationships usually develop gradually. Trust, respect, and emotional closeness grow slowly through shared experiences, honest communication, and time spent understanding each other. Self-awareness is another important part of avoiding rushed emotional attachment. When someone understands their own emotional patterns, they can make better choices. For example, some people naturally become attached quickly because they are very empathetic and emotionally open. While these qualities are beautiful, they can sometimes lead to vulnerability if not balanced with patience and observation. Recognizing this tendency allows a person to slow down and protect their emotional well-being. Communication is also essential in understanding intentions. Instead of assuming what the other person wants, open conversations about expectations and goals in relationships can bring clarity. Asking questions like what someone is looking for in a relationship, how they view commitment, and what their priorities are can help reveal whether both people are on the same page. While these conversations may feel uncomfortable for some people, they can prevent misunderstandings and emotional hurt later. Observing actions is often more reliable than listening only to words. People can say many things that sound caring or romantic, but their behavior shows the real truth. Someone who says they care, but rarely makes time to see the other person, may not be truly invested. Someone who promises commitment, but avoids responsibility, may not be ready for a serious relationship. Taking time allows someone to compare words with actions and determine whether they match. Emotional boundaries are also important in the early stages of dating. Boundaries do not mean building walls or avoiding feelings entirely. Instead, they mean allowing feelings to grow naturally while maintaining a healthy level of self-protection. For example, someone may enjoy spending time with a person and getting to know them while still keeping their personal priorities, friendships, and daily life balanced. This approach prevents the relationship from becoming the center of emotional life too quickly. Patience is one of the most valuable qualities in building strong relationships. When someone allows a relationship to develop slowly, they create space for trust and respect to grow naturally. Both people can observe each other's character over time and build a deeper understanding. This slow development often leads to stronger emotional foundations because the attachment is based on real knowledge rather than imagination. It is also important to remember that emotional attachment itself is not a mistake. Feeling deeply is part of human connection and love. The goal is not to avoid emotions, but to balance them with awareness and patience. Emotions become healthier when they grow alongside understanding. When someone truly knows the other person, their strengths, weaknesses, values, and intentions, the attachment becomes more stable and meaningful. Learning from past experiences can also help someone avoid rushing emotionally. In future relationships, many people have experienced situations where they became attached quickly. and later realize the other person did not share the same feelings. Reflecting on these experiences can provide valuable lessons about recognizing warning signs, asking the right questions, and slowing down emotional involvement. Support from friends and family can also be helpful during the early stages of a relationship. People who care about us often notice behaviors or patterns that we may overlook when we are emotionally involved. Listening to trusted opinions can provide a more balanced perspective. While the final decisions always belong to the person in the relationship, outside viewpoints can sometimes highlight important details. Confidence and self-worth also influence how someone approaches emotional attachment. When a person feels secure in their own value, they are less likely to rush into relationships out of fear of losing someone. They understand that a healthy relationship should bring mutual effort and respect, not pressure or uncertainty. This confidence allows them to walk away from situations where the other person's intentions are unclear or inconsistent. It is also helpful to understand that a strong relationship should develop at a comfortable pace for both people. If one person is rushing emotionally while the other is still figuring out their feelings, the difference in emotional speed can create imbalance. Allowing both individuals to grow their feelings naturally helps maintain emotional harmony. Another aspect to consider is emotional independence. Emotional independence means being able to feel happy and fulfilled in one's own life without depending completely on another person for happiness. When someone maintains hobbies, friendships, personal goals, and interests, they are less likely to place all emotional expectations on a new relationship. This balance reduces the pressure on the relationship and allows emotional attachment to grow in a healthier way. Respecting oneself is also a key factor in avoiding rushed emotional involvement. Self-respect encourages a person to pay attention to how they are treated. If someone notices that their feelings are not being respected or their efforts are not being matched, self-respect helps them step back and reconsider the relationship. Without self-respect, strong emotional attachment may cause someone to tolerate behaviors that do not align with their values or needs. In many cases, emotional pain happens not because love itself is wrong, but because expectations form before reality is clear. When someone imagines a future too quickly, they may become emotionally invested in something that has not yet been built. If the other person's intentions turn out to be different, the emotional impact can feel very strong because the attachment has already formed. Taking time to observe communication style is also very important. Communication reveals a lot about a person's character. Someone who communicates respectfully, listens carefully, and expresses themselves honestly is more likely to build a healthy relationship. On the other hand, someone who avoids important discussions, becomes defensive easily, or communicates only when it is convenient may not be ready for a deeper emotional connection. Trust is another element that requires time to develop. True, trust cannot be created in a few days or weeks. It grows through repeated experiences where both people show honesty, reliability, and respect. If emotional attachment grows before trust is established, the relationship may feel unstable because there is no strong foundation supporting those feelings. Ultimately, the idea behind avoiding rushed emotional attachment is not about controlling feelings completely, but about allowing them to develop naturally, alongside understanding. When someone takes time to learn about the other person's intentions, behavior, values, and consistency, they protect themselves from unnecessary disappointment while also increasing the chance of building a truly meaningful relationship. Healthy love is patient. It grows slowly but steadily, supported by trust, honesty, and mutual respect. By observing actions, communicating openly, maintaining emotional boundaries, and valuing self-worth, a person can approach relationships with both an open heart and a clear mind. This balance allows emotional attachment to become a source of happiness and stability rather than confusion or pain. One of the most common mistakes people make when starting a relationship is overlooking warning signs in a person's behavior. These warning signs are often called red flags. A red flag is something that shows a possible problem in a person's character, attitude, or intentions. These signs can appear early in a relationship, but many people ignore them because they feel attracted to the person or because they hope the problem will change over time. Ignoring these warning signs can lead to unhealthy relationships, emotional stress, and disappointment later. In the beginning of a relationship, everything often feels exciting and new. People usually focus on the positive qualities they see in the other person. For example, someone may be charming, funny, confident, or kind in certain moments. These positive traits can make a strong impression and create attraction. Because of this attraction, a person may pay less attention to behaviors that are concerning. When feelings are strong, the mind sometimes chooses to focus only on what feels good rather than what might be problematic. One common red flag is inconsistency. Inconsistent behavior means a person does not act the same way regularly. For example, a man may show a lot of attention one day, but disappear or become distant the next day. He may promise to call or meet, but then cancel plans often. At first, someone might think he is simply busy or having a difficult day. However, if this pattern continues, it may show that he is not reliable or not truly committed to the relationship. Consistency is important because it shows stability, reliability, and genuine interest. When someone ignores inconsistency, they may start making excuses for the other person. They might say things like, "He is just stressed with work," or "He will change once he gets to know me better." While it is true that everyone can have busy periods, repeated inconsistency often reveals a lack of effort or emotional investment. A healthy relationship usually includes regular communication, reliability, and mutual effort from both people. Another important warning sign is a lack of respect. Respect is one of the most important foundations of any relationship. When someone respects another person, they value their feelings, opinions, boundaries, and personal dignity. A lack of respect can appear in many forms. For example, a man may make jokes that hurt the other person's feelings, dismiss their opinions, interrupt them often, or ignore their boundaries. At first, these actions might seem small, but over time, they can become emotionally damaging. Sometimes, people ignore disrespect because they believe the person did not mean any harm. They may tell themselves that the person was just joking, or that they are being too sensitive. However, repeated disrespect is rarely accidental. It often shows how someone truly views the other person. In a healthy relationship, both individuals should feel valued and respected. Poor communication is another common red flag in relationships. Communication is the way people express their thoughts, feelings, and needs. When communication is poor, misunderstandings and frustration can easily develop. For example, a man might avoid serious conversations, refuse to discuss problems, or become defensive whenever something important is mentioned. Instead of solving issues calmly, he may change the subject or shut down emotionally. When communication problems appear early in a relationship, they often continue or become worse later. Good communication is necessary for building trust and solving conflicts. If someone refuses to communicate honestly, it becomes difficult to understand their intentions or work through challenges together. Ignoring communication problems early on can create deeper emotional problems in the future. Manipulative behavior is another serious warning sign. Manipulation happens when someone tries to control another person's thoughts, feelings, or actions for their own benefit. This behavior can sometimes be difficult to recognize because it may appear subtle at first. For example, a manipulative person may use guilt, emotional pressure, or confusion to influence the other person. One example of manipulation is when someone makes the other person feel responsible for their emotions. For instance, a man might say things like, "If you really cared about me, you would do this," or "You are the reason I feel this way." These statements can create pressure and make the other person feel guilty, even when they have done nothing wrong. Over time, manipulation can damage a person's confidence and emotional independence. Another type of manipulation is called gaslighting. Gaslighting happens when someone denies reality or makes another person question their own memory or perception. For example, if a woman brings up something that hurt her feelings, a manipulative partner might respond by saying, "It never happened," or that she is imagining things. This behavior can cause confusion and emotional distress because the person begins to doubt their own experiences. Ignoring manipulative behavior can lead to very unhealthy relationships. Manipulation often becomes stronger over time if it is not recognized and addressed early. A person who manipulates others may continue to use emotional control as a way to maintain power in the relationship. Sometimes people overlook red flags because they are strongly attracted to the other person. Attraction can create powerful emotions that make it harder to think objectively. When someone feels excited, admired, or desired, they may want the relationship to succeed so badly that they ignore behaviors that do not feel right. The hope that things will improve can cause them to stay in situations that are not healthy. Another reason people ignore warning signs is fear of losing the relationship. They may worry that if they speak up about concerns, the other person might leave. Because of this fear, they choose silence instead of honesty. Unfortunately, avoiding difficult conversations rarely solves problems. Instead, it allows unhealthy patterns to continue and grow stronger. Loneliness can also make people ignore red flags. When someone feels lonely or deeply wants companionship, they may accept behaviors that they normally would not tolerate. The desire for connection can become stronger than the need for emotional safety. In these situations, the person may focus only on the good moments in the relationship while minimizing the negative ones. Another factor is the belief that love can change someone. Some people believe that if they are patient, supportive, and are caring enough, the other person will eventually improve their behavior. While personal growth is possible for anyone, change usually happens only when someone recognizes their own behavior and actively wants to improve. One person cannot change another person simply through love or patience. Family experiences and past relationships can also influence how someone reacts to red flags. If a person grew up in an environment where disrespect, poor communication, or emotional manipulation was common, they may see these behaviors as normal. Because they are familiar, the person may not immediately recognize them as warning signs. Learning about healthy relationship behaviors can help people understand what they truly deserve. Self-esteem plays an important role as well. When someone has low self-esteem, they may believe they do not deserve better treatment. They might accept disrespect or manipulation because they feel lucky that someone is interested in them at all. Building self-confidence helps people recognize their worth and set healthier boundaries in relationships. Friends and family members sometimes notice red flags before the person in the relationship does. People who care about someone may observe behaviors that seem concerning. They may notice patterns of inconsistency, disrespect, or emotional control. However, when someone is emotionally involved, they may dismiss these concerns or feel defensive. Listening to trusted opinions can sometimes provide helpful perspective. Recognizing red flags early can prevent a lot of emotional pain later. The early stages of a relationship are an important time to observe how the other person behaves in different situations. Paying attention to how they treat others, how they respond to disagreements, and how they handle responsibility can reveal important information about their character. Healthy relationships are usually based on respect, honesty, and mutual effort. Both people should feel comfortable expressing their thoughts and emotions without fear of being dismissed or manipulated. Disagreements may happen, but they are handled through respectful communication rather than anger or control. It is also important to trust personal instincts. Sometimes people feel that something is not quite right, even if they cannot clearly explain why. This feeling can be an important signal that something deserves attention. Ignoring these feelings may lead someone to stay in situations that do not support their emotional well-being. Setting boundaries is one way to respond to red flags. Boundaries are limits that protect personal comfort, values, and emotional health. For example, someone might set a boundary by saying they expect respectful communication or consistent effort in a relationship. A partner who respects these boundaries shows maturity and care. A partner who ignores or mocks boundaries may reveal deeper issues. Learning to walk away from unhealthy situations is also important. Ending a relationship is not always easy, especially when emotions are involved. However, leaving a situation that includes repeated red flags can protect a person's long-term emotional health. Staying in a harmful relationship often leads to deeper emotional struggles. Another helpful approach is taking time to truly know someone before becoming deeply involved. Spending time together in different environments, having meaningful conversations, and observing behavior over time can provide a clearer understanding of the person's character. When relationships develop gradually, it becomes easier to notice both positive qualities and potential concerns. It is also important to remember that everyone has flaws. A red flag does not mean a person must be perfect. Small mistakes and misunderstandings happen in every relationship. The difference lies in how someone responds to those situations. A healthy partner listens, apologizes when necessary, and tries to improve. An unhealthy partner may deny responsibility, blame others, or repeat harmful behavior. Understanding red flags helps people protect their emotional well-being. It encourages thoughtful decision-making rather than acting only on attraction or excitement. Relationships should bring support, happiness, and growth rather than confusion and emotional pain. Healthy love is not built on ignoring problems, but on addressing them with honesty and respect. When both people are willing to communicate openly, respect each other's feelings, and show consistent effort, the relationship becomes stronger and more stable. Recognizing warning signs early allows individuals to make choices that support their long-term happiness and emotional health. In the end, paying attention to behavior is more important than simply listening to words. Actions reveal true character over time. When someone learns to recognize inconsistency, disrespect, poor communication, and manipulation, they gain the ability to protect themselves from unhealthy relationships. This awareness allows them to build connections that are based on trust, kindness, and genuine care. Trying too hard to impress someone is a common experience in the early stages of relationships. Many women feel pressure to make a good impression on a man they like. This pressure can sometimes lead them to change parts of their personality, appearance, or personal boundaries in order to gain approval or attention. While wanting to be liked is natural, changing too much of oneself to please someone else can create problems in the relationship. Healthy relationships grow best when both people are able to be authentic and comfortable with who they truly are. When two people first meet, it is normal for both of them to want to show their best side. People usually dress nicely, behave politely, and try to be interesting and engaging. This effort is part of normal social behavior. However, the problem begins when someone feels they must hide their real personality or pretend to be someone they are not. When a woman believes she must constantly impress a man in order to keep his interest, she may begin to change parts of herself that are actually important to her identity. One way this can happen is through personality changes. For example, a woman may normally be quiet, thoughtful, and calm, but she may try to act more outgoing or energetic because she thinks that is what the man prefers. Another woman might normally enjoy deep conversations and meaningful discussions, but she may avoid sharing her real thoughts because she worries that he might not like them. Over time, pretending to be someone else can become emotionally exhausting. It requires constant effort to maintain a version of oneself that is not fully genuine. Changing appearance can also become part of trying too hard to impress someone. While it is completely normal for people to care about how they look, problems arise when someone feels they must constantly change their appearance to meet another person's expectations. For example, a woman might feel she must always dress a certain way, wear makeup even when she does not want to, or change her style because she thinks the man prefers a different look. These changes may start small, but over time, they can create pressure and discomfort. Trying to impress someone can also affect personal boundaries. Boundaries are the limits people set to protect their comfort, values, and emotional well-being. For example, someone may normally prefer to take relationships slowly, maintain personal space, or spend time with friends and family. However, if she is trying too hard to impress a man, she might ignore her own boundaries. She might agree to things she is not comfortable with, or prioritize his needs while ignoring her own. When someone constantly tries to impress another person, an imbalance can develop in the relationship. One person begins to give more effort, attention, and compromise than the other. The relationship may start to feel one-sided. The person trying to impress the other may feel they must constantly prove their value or earn the other person's approval. This imbalance can lead to feelings of insecurity and emotional exhaustion. Authenticity is one of the most important qualities in healthy relationships. Authenticity means being honest about who you are, what you believe, and what you enjoy. When people are authentic, they allow others to see their true personality rather than a carefully created image. Authentic relationships are stronger because they are based on reality rather than performance. When a woman feels comfortable being herself, she can express her true opinions, interests, and emotions. She does not feel the need to constantly impress or please the other person. Instead, she focuses on building a connection based on mutual respect and understanding. This type of relationship allows both people to feel relaxed and accepted. Trying too hard to impress someone can sometimes come from insecurity. Insecurity happens when someone doubts their own worth or fears they are not good enough. When a woman feels insecure, she may believe she must work harder than usual to keep someone interested. She might think that if she does not impress him enough, he will lose interest and leave. These thoughts can create pressure and anxiety. Social influences can also contribute to the feeling of needing to impress someone. Movies, television, and social media often show idealized versions of romance. These portrayals sometimes suggest that women must always look perfect, behave perfectly, and meet certain expectations to attract or keep a partner. In reality, real relationships are not perfect. They involve two individuals with unique personalities, strengths, and weaknesses. Another reason women sometimes try too hard to impress men is the desire for approval. Approval feels rewarding because it confirms that someone likes or values her. When a man gives compliments or attention, it can create a sense of happiness and validation. However, if someone becomes dependent on approval from another person, they may begin to shape their behavior around what they think will gain the most praise. Over time, this behavior can create emotional stress. Constantly trying to impress someone means always thinking about what the other person wants, instead of focusing on personal comfort or happiness. This can lead to feelings of pressure and self-doubt. A person may begin to wonder if they are truly liked for who they are, or only for the image they are presenting. Confidence plays a major role in healthy relationships. A confident person understands their own value and does not feel the need to constantly prove it. They believe they deserve respect, honesty, and care from a partner. Because of this belief, they are more likely to set boundaries and maintain their identity within the relationship. Authenticity also allows both partners to contribute equally to the relationship. When both people are honest about who they are, they can appreciate each other's unique qualities. One person may be more outgoing, while the other is more thoughtful and calm. These differences can complement each other and create balance rather than conflict. Another important aspect of authenticity is emotional honesty. Being emotionally honest means expressing feelings openly rather than hiding them to maintain an image. For example, if something causes discomfort or concern, an authentic person communicates those feelings respectfully. This type of communication builds trust because both partners feel safe sharing their thoughts. When someone is constantly trying to impress their partner, they may avoid expressing negative feelings or concerns. They may worry that speaking honestly could damage the relationship or reduce the partner's interest. However, avoiding important conversations often leads to unresolved problems and emotional distance. Healthy relationships grow through open communication and mutual acceptance. Both partners should feel comfortable sharing their true selves without fear of judgment or rejection. This acceptance creates emotional security, which strengthens the bond between them. It is also important to remember that the right partner will appreciate authenticity. Someone who genuinely cares about building a meaningful relationship wants to know the real person, not a performance. They appreciate honesty, individuality, and natural behavior. When someone accepts another person's authentic self, it creates a deeper and more meaningful connection. Learning to be authentic often requires self-awareness. Self-awareness means understanding one's own personality, values, interests, and boundaries. When someone knows themselves well, they are less likely to change their identity for the sake of impressing others. Instead, they choose relationships where they feel respected and appreciated. Personal growth can also help reduce the urge to impress others. When someone focuses on their own goals, hobbies, and personal development, they build a strong sense of identity. This identity becomes a source of confidence rather than seeking approval from others. They feel comfortable with who they are. Another helpful approach is remembering that relationships should be balanced. Both people should contribute effort, kindness, and interest. If one person is always trying to impress, while the other simply receives the attention, the relationship becomes unequal. Balanced relationships involve mutual appreciation and respect. It is also valuable to understand that imperfections are normal. No one is perfect, and healthy relationships do not require perfection. People make mistakes, have weaknesses, and experience difficult emotions. Authentic relationships allow room for these imperfections while still maintaining respect and care. When someone stops trying so hard to impress others, they often feel a sense of relief. They no longer need to constantly monitor their behavior or worry about meeting unrealistic expectations. Instead, they can focus on enjoying the relationship and building genuine connection. Authenticity also helps build trust. Trust develops when both people believe they are seeing each other's true selves. If someone later discovers that their partner was pretending or hiding parts of their personality, trust can be damaged. Being authentic from the beginning prevents this problem. It is important to remember that relationships are not about performing or competing. They are about connection, understanding, and shared experiences. Two people come together not because they are perfect, but because they appreciate and respect each other's individuality. Encouraging authenticity also creates emotional safety. When both partners feel safe being themselves, they can relax and enjoy the relationship without fear of judgment. Emotional safety allows love, trust, and companionship to grow naturally. Over time, self-respect also plays a key role in authenticity. When someone respects themselves, they do not feel the need to change their identity to gain someone's approval. They understand that their personality, values, and interests are valuable. This self-respect encourages them to choose partners who appreciate them for who they truly are. Authenticity also strengthens long-term relationships. When a relationship begins with honesty and genuine behavior, both people know what to expect from each other. There are fewer surprises or misunderstandings because each person has shown their true personality from the beginning. In the end, trying too hard to impress someone often creates unnecessary pressure and imbalance in a relationship. It can lead to emotional exhaustion, loss of identity, and unrealistic expectations. Authenticity, on the other hand, creates a foundation of honesty, respect, and mutual acceptance. Healthy relationships grow when both people feel comfortable being themselves. They support each other's individuality rather than trying to change it. When a woman embraces her authentic personality and values, she attracts people who appreciate her true self. This authenticity leads to deeper, more meaningful connections built on trust and genuine understanding. Lack of clear communication is one of the most common reasons why relationships face problems. Communication is the process through which people share their thoughts, feelings, expectations, and concerns with each other. In relationships, communication helps both partners understand each other better and build trust. When communication is unclear, avoided, or dishonest, misunderstandings can easily happen. These misunderstandings can create confusion, frustration, and emotional distance between partners. In many relationships, people assume that their partner already understands what they want or need. Instead of expressing their expectations openly, they hope the other person will naturally figure it out. However, every person has different experiences, values, and ways of thinking. Because of this, assuming that someone else automatically knows our feelings or expectations often leads to disappointment. Clear communication helps prevent these misunderstandings by making both partners aware of each other's thoughts and needs. One important part of communication in relationships is discussing intentions. Intentions refer to what each person wants from the relationship. For example, one person might be interested in a serious long-term relationship, while the other might be looking for something casual or temporary. If these intentions are not discussed early, both people may develop different expectations. Over time, this difference can create emotional pain when one partner realizes that the other does not share the same goals. Open conversation about intentions helps create clarity. When two people talk honestly about what they are looking for, they can decide whether their expectations match. This discussion may feel uncomfortable for some people, especially in the early stages of dating. However, it can prevent much larger problems later. Clear communication allows both individuals to make informed decisions about whether they want to continue the relationship. Values are another important topic that should be communicated clearly. Values are the beliefs and principles that guide how people live their lives. These can include views about family, career, honesty, loyalty, personal growth, and many other aspects of life. When two people share similar values, it often becomes easier for them to build a strong and lasting relationship. If values are not discussed openly, differences may appear later in the relationship. For example, one partner may value spending a lot of time with family, while the other prefers independence and personal space. One person may prioritize career success, while the other focuses more on personal relationships. These differences are not necessarily wrong, but they can create conflict if they are not understood and respected. Communication helps partners learn about each other's values and decide how they can support or compromise with one another. Boundaries are also a very important part of relationship communication. Boundaries are the limits people set to protect their emotional comfort, personal space, and individual identity. For example, someone may have boundaries about how they prefer to be treated, how much time they spend with others, or what behaviors they consider unacceptable. When boundaries are not communicated clearly, a partner may unintentionally cross them. Crossing boundaries can create feelings of discomfort, frustration, or even resentment. For instance, one partner may feel overwhelmed if the other expects constant communication or attention. Another person may feel hurt if their partner shares private information with others. If these boundaries are not expressed openly, the partner may not realize they are causing harm. Honest conversation about boundaries helps both people understand what is acceptable and what is not. Another problem caused by lack of communication is unresolved conflict. Disagreements are natural in every relationship because two individuals will not always think or feel the same way. However, the way conflicts are handled makes a big difference. When partners communicate openly during disagreements, they can listen to each other's perspectives and find solutions together. When communication is avoided, problems remain unresolved and may grow larger over time. Some people avoid difficult conversations because they fear conflict. They worry that discussing problems may lead to arguments or hurt feelings. As a result, they choose silence instead of honesty. While this may prevent temporary discomfort, it often leads to deeper issues. Later, small problems that are ignored can slowly build into larger emotional tensions. Another reason communication problems happen is poor listening. Communication is not only about speaking. It also involves listening carefully to the other person. When someone speaks, they want to feel heard and understood. If a partner interrupts, ignores, or dismisses their feelings, it can create emotional distance. Good listening requires patience, attention, and respect. Active listening is an important skill in healthy relationships. Active listening means focusing completely on what the other person is saying without immediately judging or reacting. It involves trying to understand their emotions and perspective. When people feel truly heard, they are more likely to feel respected and valued in the relationship. Sometimes communication problems occur because people are not comfortable expressing their emotions. They may have grown up in environments where feelings were rarely discussed openly. As a result, they may find it difficult to talk about personal concerns or vulnerabilities. Learning to express emotions clearly can take time and practice, but it greatly improves relationship quality. Another communication challenge is indirect communication. Instead of expressing feelings directly, some people use hints, sarcasm, or silence to show their emotions. For example, someone may feel upset but say, "I'm fine," instead of explaining what is bothering them. This indirect approach can confuse the partner because they may not understand the true meaning behind the words. Direct communication helps avoid this confusion. Being honest and straightforward allows both partners to address issues clearly. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it creates a healthier environment where problems can be solved together rather than hidden. Technology has also changed how people communicate in relationships. Many couples rely heavily on texting or social media for communication. While these tools are convenient, they sometimes reduce the depth of conversations. Written messages can easily be misunderstood because they lack tone of voice and facial expressions. Important topics are often better discussed in person where both partners can fully understand each other's emotions. Another aspect of communication is expressing appreciation and positive feelings. Communication should not focus only on problems. Sharing compliments, gratitude, and encouragement helps strengthen the emotional bond between partners. When people feel appreciated, they are more motivated to support and care for each other. Lack of communication can also create assumptions. When partners do not discuss their feelings or thoughts, they may begin to guess what the other person is thinking. These guesses are often incorrect. For example, someone may assume their partner is losing interest simply because communication has decreased. In reality, the partner may be dealing with work stress or personal challenges. Talking openly prevents these misunderstandings. Trust is closely connected to communication. When partners communicate honestly, they build trust over time. Trust means believing that the other person is sincere, reliable, and respectful. Without open communication, trust can weaken because partners may feel uncertain about each other's intentions or feelings. Communication also plays a role in emotional support. In healthy relationships, partners support each other during difficult times. This support requires understanding what the other person is experiencing emotionally. If someone does not communicate their struggles, the partner may not realize they need help or encouragement. Different people also have different communication styles. Some people prefer discussing problems immediately, while others need time to think before talking. Some individuals express emotions openly, while others are more reserved. Recognizing and respecting these differences helps partners communicate more effectively. Learning good communication skills takes effort from both partners. It involves being honest, respectful, patient, and open to understanding the other person's perspective. When both individuals are willing to communicate clearly, they create a strong foundation for the relationship. Another important aspect of communication is timing. Certain conversations require the right moment. Discussing serious topics when someone is extremely tired, stressed, or distracted may not lead to productive results. Choosing a calm and appropriate time allows both partners to focus and respond thoughtfully. Respectful language is also important in communication. Even during disagreements, partners should avoid insults, blaming, or harsh criticism. Speaking respectfully helps maintain emotional safety and prevents conflicts from becoming more hurtful. Emotional honesty is another key element of clear communication. Emotional honesty means sharing true feelings rather than hiding them or pretending everything is fine. When someone expresses their emotions honestly, their partner has the opportunity to understand and respond with care. Communication also includes non-verbal signals. Body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice often communicate as much as words. A warm smile, gentle tone, or attentive posture can show interest and care. On the other hand, crossed arms, avoidance of eye contact, or harsh tone may signal discomfort or frustration. Building strong communication habits early in a relationship can prevent many problems later. When partners become comfortable discussing expectations, values, and boundaries from the beginning, they develop trust and understanding. This openness creates a strong emotional connection. Another benefit of clear communication is problem solving. When challenges arise, partners who communicate well can work together to find solutions. They focus on understanding each other rather than winning arguments. This cooperative approach strengthens the relationship and builds teamwork. Self-awareness also improves communication. When someone understands their own emotions, needs, and reactions, they can express them more clearly. Instead of reacting impulsively, they can explain what they feel and why. This clarity helps their partner respond more effectively. Patience is important in communication as well. Not every conversation will lead to immediate agreement. Sometimes partners need time to reflect and understand each other's perspectives. Being patient and respectful during these moments helps maintain a healthy dialogue. Encouraging openness also means creating a safe environment where both partners feel comfortable speaking honestly. If someone fears criticism, anger, or judgment, they may hesitate to share their thoughts. A supportive atmosphere encourages honest expression and mutual understanding. Healthy communication also involves acknowledging mistakes. Everyone makes communication errors sometimes. A person may speak harshly during stress or misunderstand their partner's words. Apologizing and correcting these mistakes shows maturity and commitment to improving the relationship. Communication is a skill that grows stronger with practice. The more partners communicate openly and respectfully, the easier it becomes to handle difficult topics. Over time, they develop deeper understanding and stronger emotional connection. Ultimately, clear communication is one of the most powerful tools for building healthy relationships. It helps partners understand each other's intentions, values, and boundaries. It prevents misunderstandings and strengthens trust. When both individuals are willing to talk honestly and listen carefully, they create a relationship built on respect, empathy, and cooperation. Healthy relationships do not depend on perfect compatibility, but on the ability to communicate and grow together. Honest conversation allows both partners to support each other, solve problems, and build a lasting connection based on understanding and mutual respect. Confusing attraction with compatibility is a common experience in many relationships. When two people first meet, they may feel a strong sense of attraction or chemistry toward each other. Attraction often includes physical interest, excitement, and emotional intensity. These feelings can be powerful and enjoyable, especially in the early stages of meeting someone new. However, attraction alone does not always mean that two people are truly compatible in the long term. Compatibility involves deeper qualities such as shared values, emotional maturity, trust, and similar life goals. Physical attraction is usually one of the first things people notice about each other. When someone finds another person attractive, they may feel drawn toward them quickly. This attraction can come from appearance, body language, voice, or even the way someone carries themselves. These qualities can create strong initial interest and excitement. Because attraction can feel intense, people sometimes believe that these feelings mean the relationship will naturally succeed. Chemistry is another term often used to describe strong attraction between two people. When there is chemistry, conversations may feel easy, laughter may come naturally, and both people may feel energized when they are together. Chemistry can make the early stages of dating feel exciting and emotional. However, chemistry does not always mean that two people are compatible in important areas of life. Compatibility is different from attraction. Compatibility refers to how well two people's personalities, values, habits, and life goals fit together. While attraction focuses mainly on feelings and physical interest, compatibility focuses on long-term harmony and understanding. A relationship built only on attraction may feel exciting at first, but without compatibility, it may struggle to remain stable over time. One important part of compatibility is shared values. Values are the beliefs and principles that guide how people make decisions and live their lives. For example, some people value honesty and loyalty very strongly, while others may prioritize independence or personal freedom. Values can also include views about family, career, lifestyle, and personal growth. When two people share similar values, they are more likely to understand each other's choices and support each other's goals. For instance, if both partners believe that family relationships are important, they may naturally support spending time with relatives or planning a family life together. However, if their values are very different, conflicts may arise. For example, one partner may want a quiet and simple lifestyle, while the other seeks constant excitement and change. Emotional maturity is another key factor in compatibility. Emotional maturity refers to the ability to understand and manage one's emotions in a healthy way. Emotionally mature individuals are able to communicate calmly, take responsibility for their actions, and handle conflicts respectfully. They do not react impulsively or blame others for every problem. When two emotionally mature people build a relationship, they are more likely to handle challenges together in a constructive way. They listen to each other, discuss problems openly, and try to find solutions that benefit both partners. On the other hand, if one or both partners lack emotional maturity, the relationship may experience frequent misunderstandings or emotional conflict. Trust is also a major element of compatibility. Trust means believing that your partner is honest, reliable, and loyal. It allows both people to feel secure and relaxed in the relationship. Trust develops gradually through consistent behavior and honesty. When partners trust each other, they feel comfortable sharing personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Without trust, even strong attraction cannot maintain a healthy relationship. If one partner constantly doubts the other's intentions or honesty, the relationship may become filled with anxiety and suspicion. Trust requires time, transparency, and mutual respect to grow. Life goals are another important factor that determines compatibility. Life goals include the plans and dreams people have for their future. These may involve career ambitions, education, lifestyle preferences, family plans, and personal achievements. When two people share similar long-term goals, it becomes easier for them to build a future together. For example, one person may dream of traveling frequently and living in different countries, while the other may prefer a stable life in one place near family. Neither goal is wrong, but if the partners cannot find a compromise, these differences may cause tension. Discussing life goals early in a relationship helps both individuals understand whether their futures can align. Sometimes people overlook compatibility because attraction feels so powerful in the beginning. The excitement of meeting someone new can create strong emotions that make it difficult to think clearly about long-term factors. During this stage, individuals may focus mainly on the enjoyable aspects of the relationship, while ignoring potential differences. Another reason attraction can be confusing is because it often creates idealized images. When someone feels strong attraction, they may imagine many positive qualities about the other person, even if they do not yet know them well. This idealization can make the partner appear more compatible than they actually are. As time passes, the initial excitement of attraction usually becomes calmer. At this stage, deeper aspects of the relationship begin to appear. Differences in habits, communication styles, and values may become more noticeable. If compatibility is strong, these differences can be discussed and managed. If compatibility is weak, the relationship may experience frequent conflict or dissatisfaction. Communication plays an important role in discovering compatibility. Honest conversations allow partners to share their thoughts, values, and goals. Through these discussions, they can learn more about each other's perspectives and priorities. Communication also helps partners understand whether they are willing to support each other's dreams and responsibilities. Another aspect of compatibility is lifestyle habits. Everyday habits such as spending patterns, social preferences, and daily routines can influence relationship harmony. For example, one partner may enjoy frequent social events and large gatherings, while the other prefers quiet evenings at home. These differences are not necessarily problems, but they require understanding and compromise. Respect is also a central part of compatibility. When partners respect each other's individuality, they are able to appreciate differences rather than criticize them. Respect allows both individuals to maintain their personal identity while still feeling connected to the relationship. Patience is important when evaluating compatibility. True compatibility cannot be fully understood within a very short time. It requires observing how someone behaves in different situations and learning about their deeper beliefs and goals. Taking time to know a person gradually allows more accurate understanding. Friendship can also strengthen compatibility. Many strong relationships develop from genuine friendship. Friendship includes trust, mutual support, shared interests, and enjoyment of each other's company. When attraction is combined with friendship, the relationship often becomes more stable and meaningful. Another factor that supports compatibility is emotional safety. Emotional safety means both partners feel comfortable expressing themselves without fear of criticism or rejection. When emotional safety exists, partners can discuss disagreements honestly and work towards solutions together. Self-awareness also helps people recognize compatibility when someone understands their own values, goals, and needs. They are better able to identify whether a partner truly fits into their life. Without self-awareness, individuals may focus only on attraction and overlook deeper needs. Sometimes people stay in relationships based mainly on attraction. Even when compatibility is weak, they may hope that love or time will solve the differences. While effort and communication can help partners grow together, some fundamental differences may remain difficult to overcome. Learning to recognize the difference between attraction and compatibility can help individuals make wiser relationship decisions. Attraction may bring two people together, but compatibility helps them stay together in a healthy way. Both elements can exist in a successful relationship, but compatibility provides the stronger foundation. Shared experiences also help build compatibility. As partners spend time together, they learn how they handle challenges, celebrate successes, and support each other emotionally. These experiences reveal whether their personalities and approaches to life complement each other. Another important part of compatibility is mutual effort. Healthy relationships require both partners to contribute care, understanding, and commitment. If only one person is making effort while the other remains distant or uninterested, the relationship may feel unbalanced. Respecting differences is another sign of compatibility. Two people do not need to be exactly the same in every way. In fact, differences can make relationships more interesting and dynamic. Compatibility means being able to accept and appreciate these differences while still sharing core values and goals. Growth is also part of compatible relationships. Partners often influence each other's development in positive ways. They encourage learning, improvement, and personal achievement. When both people support each other's growth, the relationship becomes a source of strength. Another important quality is emotional support. Compatible partners are able to comfort and encourage each other during difficult times. They show empathy and understanding rather than criticism or indifference. It is also helpful to remember that attraction can change over time. Physical appearance may evolve, and the intensity of early excitement often becomes calmer. However, compatibility based on respect, trust, and shared values can continue growing stronger over many years. People who focus only on attraction may overlook important warning signs about compatibility. For example, they may ignore differences in communication style, emotional maturity, or long-term priorities. Recognizing these factors early can help prevent future disappointment. Choosing a partner involves more than following strong feelings. It also requires thoughtful understanding of whether the relationship supports both individuals' happiness and personal growth. Taking time to evaluate compatibility helps build a stronger and more lasting connection. Ultimately, attraction and compatibility serve different roles in relationships. Attraction may spark the initial interest and excitement, but compatibility creates the stability and understanding needed for a long-term partnership. When both attraction and compatibility exist together, the relationship has a greater chance of becoming healthy, balanced, and fulfilling. Healthy relationships are built on more than physical interest or emotional excitement. They grow through shared values, emotional maturity, trust, and similar life goals. By recognizing the difference between attraction and compatibility, individuals can approach relationships with greater awareness and make choices that lead to deeper and more meaningful connections. Ignoring self-respect and personal boundaries is a common issue that can affect many relationships. In the early stages of a romantic connection, emotions can be strong, and the desire to maintain the relationship can become very important. Because of this, some women may begin to compromise their own comfort, values, or boundaries in order to keep the relationship going. They may fear that if they express their true needs or limits, the man might lose interest or leave. However, when someone ignores their own self-respect and personal boundaries, the relationship can become unhealthy and unbalanced over time. Self-respect is the way a person values themselves. It involves recognizing one's own worth, dignity, and emotional needs. A person with self-respect understands that they deserve to be treated with kindness, honesty, and respect by others. Self-respect also means standing by personal values and not allowing others to treat you in ways that cause harm or discomfort. In relationships, self-respect acts as a guide that helps individuals maintain their emotional well-being and make decisions that support their happiness. Personal boundaries are closely connected to self-respect. Boundaries are the limits people set to protect their emotional, physical, and mental space. They help define what behaviors are acceptable and what behaviors are not. Boundaries are important because they create structure and safety in relationships. When boundaries are respected, both partners feel comfortable and secure. Sometimes people begin to ignore their boundaries when they are afraid of losing the relationship. For example, a woman may normally prefer to move slowly in a relationship, but she might agree to move faster than she is comfortable with because she worries the man might lose interest. Another woman might feel uncomfortable with certain jokes, comments, or behaviors, but she may remain silent because she does not want to create conflict. Over time, ignoring these feelings can cause emotional stress. Fear of losing someone can be a powerful influence. When someone cares deeply about a partner, they may feel that the relationship is very important to their happiness. This fear may cause them to prioritize the partner's needs above their own. They may think that keeping the relationship requires constant compromise from their side. However, a healthy relationship should not require someone to give up their personal comfort or dignity. When personal boundaries are ignored repeatedly, it can create imbalance in the relationship. One partner may begin to take more control, while the other continues to adjust and sacrifice. This imbalance can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, or emotional exhaustion. The person who constantly compromises may feel that their needs and feelings are not valued. Mutual respect is one of the most important elements of a healthier relationship. Mutual respect means that both partners treat each other with care and consideration. They listen to each other's opinions, honor each other's boundaries, and support each other's individuality. In a respectful relationship, neither person feels pressured to ignore their own comfort or values. Setting boundaries is not about creating distance or pushing people away. Instead, it is about clearly communicating what is important for personal well-being. For example, someone may set a boundary about how they want to be spoken to during disagreements. They may explain that they expect calm and respectful communication rather than insults or anger. This boundary protects emotional health and encourages healthy interaction. Sometimes people worry that setting boundaries will make them appear difficult or demanding. However, healthy partners usually appreciate clear boundaries because they create understanding. When someone explains their needs honestly, it helps the other person know how to behave in a way that maintains harmony in the relationship. Ignoring boundaries can sometimes happen gradually. At first, the compromises may seem small and harmless. For instance, someone might cancel personal plans repeatedly to spend time with their partner. They may stop expressing opinions that are different from the partner's views. These small adjustments may seem like acts of kindness or flexibility, but over time, they can reduce a person's sense of independence. Independence is an important part of emotional well-being. Healthy relationships allow both partners to maintain their own interests, friendships, and personal goals. When someone gives up too much independence, they may begin to feel that their identity is disappearing within the relationship. Self-respect helps people maintain a strong sense of identity. When someone values themselves, they are more likely to protect their boundaries and communicate their needs. They understand that a relationship should add to their life, not replace their sense of self. Another reason boundaries may be ignored is the desire to please others. Some people have personalities that naturally focus on caring for others and keeping peace in relationships. While kindness and empathy are positive qualities, they can become harmful if someone always puts others' needs above their own. Balance is important in relationships so that both partners feel valued and supported. Past experiences can also influence how someone handles boundaries. If a person grew up in an environment where their opinions were ignored or where boundaries were not respected, they may struggle to assert themselves in relationships. They may feel uncomfortable saying no or expressing disagreement. Learning about healthy boundaries can help people develop stronger self-respect. Communication plays a major role in setting and maintaining boundaries. Clear communication allows individuals to explain what they are comfortable with and what they are not. For example, someone might say that they need personal time to relax or spend time with friends. Another person might express that they prefer honesty rather than secrecy in the relationship. Boundaries also protect emotional safety. Emotional safety means feeling secure enough to express thoughts and feelings without fear of ridicule or punishment. When partners respect each other's boundaries, they create an environment where honesty and vulnerability are welcomed. Trust is also strengthened when boundaries are respected. When someone communicates a boundary and their partner honors it, trust grows because it shows care and respect. On the other hand, if boundaries are ignored or dismissed, trust can quickly weaken. Another aspect of boundaries involves personal values. Values guide decisions about what behaviors and situations feel acceptable. For example, someone may value honesty, loyalty, or fairness. If a relationship challenges these values, the person may feel uncomfortable or conflicted. Maintaining boundaries helps protect these important beliefs. It is also important to understand that boundaries are not fixed forever. As relationships grow and evolve, boundaries may change. For instance, someone may become more comfortable sharing certain aspects of their life over time. However, these changes should happen naturally and through mutual agreement, not through pressure. Respecting boundaries also encourages equality in relationships. When both partners are able to express their needs and have them respected, the relationship becomes more balanced. Each person feels heard and valued, which strengthens emotional connection. Ignoring self-respect can sometimes lead to emotional burnout. Constantly adjusting to someone else's expectations without expressing personal needs can create deep frustration. Over time, the person may feel invisible or unappreciated. These feelings can damage both the relationship and the individual's emotional health. Self-respect encourages individuals to recognize when something feels wrong. If a situation causes discomfort, self-respect helps a person pause and evaluate what is happening. They may ask themselves whether their needs are being respected and whether the relationship feels supportive. Another important part of maintaining boundaries is learning to say no. Saying no can be difficult because people often worry about disappointing others. However, saying no when necessary protects personal well-being and prevents resentment. A healthy partner will understand and respect reasonable boundaries. Confidence also plays a role in maintaining boundaries. When someone believes in their own worth, they are more comfortable expressing their needs. They do not feel that they must sacrifice their comfort to keep someone's attention. Confidence helps people choose relationships where they feel respected rather than pressured. Healthy relationships involve compromise, but compromise should be mutual. Both partners should be willing to adjust and support each other. If only one person is constantly compromising, while the other rarely changes their behavior, the relationship becomes unfair. Boundaries also encourage honesty. When someone knows their partner will respect their feelings, they are more likely to communicate openly. This honesty strengthens emotional connection and reduces misunderstandings. Another benefit of strong boundaries is personal growth. When individuals protect their values and identity, they continue developing their interests and talents. This growth brings positive energy into the relationship because both partners remain independent individuals who choose to support each other. Respecting oneself also sets an example for others. When someone consistently demonstrates self-respect, others learn how they expect to be treated. This clarity reduces confusion and prevents unhealthy behavior from continuing. Healthy relationships should make both partners feel valued, safe, and respected. They should encourage emotional growth rather than create fear or insecurity. When boundaries are respected, both people can express their true selves without feeling pressured to change. Learning to protect self-respect and boundaries may require practice. Some people may need time to become comfortable expressing their needs. However, each step toward clearer communication and stronger boundaries improves emotional well-being. It is also important to remember that a relationship that requires constant sacrifice of personal boundaries may not be healthy. True connection does not require someone to ignore their comfort or dignity. Instead, it grows through mutual respect and understanding. Partners who truly care about each other support each other's boundaries because they value each other's happiness and safety. They listen carefully when concerns are expressed and make an effort to respect those limits. In the end, self-respect and personal boundaries are essential for maintaining healthy and balanced relationships. They protect emotional well-being and ensure that both partners feel valued and respected. By setting clear boundaries and honoring personal values, individuals create relationships based on equality, trust, and genuine care. Healthy love does not ask someone to give up their identity or ignore their needs. Instead, it encourages both partners to grow as individuals while supporting each other. When self-respect and boundaries are maintained, relationships become stronger, more balanced, and more fulfilling for both people.